All right, so Dr. Christine Maslach says these are the 6 things that she talks about. I want you to write these down because I want you to know that you can have an impact at work. And because we're talking about how we navigate work, it's also, how we navigate home life, of course. But when we're talking about women in leadership and business, who these breakfast events are for, work is a very important part of our lives. And it's sometimes the balancing of all of that, isn't it? So please write these 6 things down. So these are the 6 things that she talks about that we can make a difference in, that can impact our well-being, okay? So obviously workload, it's kind of obvious, but they say that that's seen as the only one, but obviously there's 5 more. So workload is important, but it's not only about how much work, it's about, are we skilled to do it? Do we feel confident? Are we feeling recognized? Okay, so I want you to jot these down. I'm going to move through these quickly because I want to get to the other piece. So how much control we have impacts, or we think that we have, impacts how we feel. So if I feel out of control, whether it's in my home life or work life, that can impact how exhausted I feel, my relationship with my job, and also how well I feel I'm doing in my role. Yeah. So how can we put people back in control, or feeling in control? Now, in this current circumstances, people may not be able to feel like that they're in control of their job or their future in their job. But if we can communicate with them and make sure that we're opening up those communication channels, people will feel much more in control. Okay. 3rd is reward. So making sure people feel recognized socially. So not just, it might not just be about a bonus, or it might not just be about, a job that they did, but the contribution that they make to the environment. And so also be listening through your own, are you receiving these from work as well? So while you might be someone in leadership who can give these things, are you receiving them from others? The next one is community. So remember, Dr. Christina Maslach is someone who's done a lot of work. Her whole career, I believe, or most of her career has been spent in this space. So these are her well-researched recommendations for how we can support people to not experience burnout in the workplace. Yep. These can apply, though, have a think about how they apply maybe to home. So community, our feeling of belonging. So when people don't feel like they belong, that contributes to burnout. So how can we support people to feel like they belong? How can you feel like you belong at work? Do you feel like that you belong? Is there a sense of belonging and community in the space that you work in? If not, and I'll talk about this in a moment, from a place of personal leadership, what is it that you can contribute or raise as a new conversation around that? 5 is fairness. And this is about emotional safety as well. Creating spaces of trust and emotional safety where people feel safe to say I'm failing. And so for me, that was not true. I did not feel safe to say that I was failing at that time when I was in my corporate career. And everyone around me was just focusing on, we must perform. And there's no space to say, hey, I'm drowning here. Yeah. So how safe do you feel? Fairness. So that's around feeling like how we're treated. So in our workspace, how are you seeing that play out for people? How do you feel around that? Do you feel there's fairness around maybe promotion, or where people are delegated new opportunities, and whether that's equal in your workplace? And the last one is around values, and that's around alignment, isn't it? So is my work aligned with my personal values? And also, is how we do work at work, is that aligned with my personal values? Because when there's a mismatch there, we have to work harder to be engaged at work. And so it's really important to understand what our personal values are, and does our working space align with that? Now, we might think that we don't have a lot of choice at the moment, but I don't buy into that conversation. Whatever the circumstances around us, we get to choose how we show up, who we want to be, and what we want to create around us. So these 6 things are the things that Christina says can cause burnout if they're not there, but also are the things that can contribute to, obviously, people not burning out. So I want you to just take a moment and think from 2 lenses, one from your workplace, but one from you personally. And whether that's personally in the workplace or personally just a whole of your life. Where do you feel like these are working for you, and where are maybe they not? So just take a moment to reflect on that and make some notes on that.